Hi guys, as I promised today in my Instagram and YouTube as well, I have deployed my project. This is a small project for automatically merging synchronize audio and video. I've decided to make this project just because my wife and I, we often produce some content on YouTube and Instagram. We use kind of two iPhones, one as a microphone and another one as a camera. And of course, in this case, camera can't be used as a microphone voice because the voice is really in bad condition. After that, we need to merge these files, and basically, usually I just use different applications like CapCut or Instagram edits or Filmora if I am next to my laptop, and then I just cut the edges and synchronize the audio. And I completely understand that there are features like these in these applications, but in my website, first of all, it's totally free, and the second of all, the crucial point is that we don't need to adjust manually these things. Okay, so we don't need to synchronize the audio voice with the original high quality video. So the FFmpeg does it automatically on the website. And another important part, that it costs me nothing because I don't use any backend. So I just use WebAssembly with FFmpeg library. So it allows me to do all processing of audio and video files of users inside the front end, inside the browser. So it's kind of only client side function, and users can use my website for free. What is it in for me? I hope that it will help me increasing popularity of my YouTube channel, and maybe if there are many of users, I will add advertisement here, Google Ads maybe. This is the short explanation of my project. Also, I have translated it to different languages, actually 20 languages, and it works. I have tested it today. It works pretty well as expected. It's really good. So, and I already launched the project on this URL. You can just check it, automatically sync audio and video.com, dashes instead of spaces. For now, the SSL is not ready yet, but I hope it works soon as possible. So anyway, let's dive deeply into the workflow, because the main point of this video, it's not just about this project. I'd like to share with you my thoughts and the new workflow that I adapted to my current stage. And I hope that I will use it on my job with my clients, and of course for my own project like this project. First of all, what I want to say to you is that the main shifting in my mind, it was about SRS. It's called Software Requirement Specification. Okay, and I even start reading this huge book about software requirement specifications. It is written by Carl Wiggers and Joy Betty. It's an extremely popular book about SRS and how to write them. Actually, software requirements, it's just requirements and also constraints, and we can describe functional and non-functional requirements. In my opinion, it's crucial nowadays when we use this approach, kind of AI agentic flow or vibe coding or whatever. The main idea is that we need to have some source of truth for our AI agents and for human beings as well, because it's extremely important that there is no controversy objects in your project, and requirements are updating every time. But I think that strict documentation will help with this and allow and resolve all conflicts. So that's why I started focusing more on specification, and it's called spec-driven development nowadays. When you are in AI agentic mode and you write specification first, and only then you run your agent. And yes, in advance, I can say that it really works. Now take a look at this SRS. It's short term for software requirement specification, SRS. And yes, it takes about 87 pages. Of course, I didn't write all these texts by myself. I used ChatGPT, but I used it in such a way when I really read almost all text. At least I read it, and I often even wrote it. I will show you how it looks like. It's SRS chat here. I just started like this. First of all, I used Google search to see, and I read a few articles about SRS, how to write them, how to make them, and then I started to use ChatGPT to check and verify all my thoughts and all my ideas. And of course, I just sent to ChatGPT drafts, my thoughts, and then said ChatGPT to follow up questions. So ChatGPT can use as many follow up questions as it needs to clarify some details and to get some requirements and constraints from my head. And of course, it really helps to understand and predict some edge cases and new expected and not expected behavior. So it looked like this. We just discussed with ChatGPT each section of SRS, and ChatGPT requested some details from me. Please answer this, and there are many questions for clarifying each section. It helped me a lot to think about details that I didn't think before. And after that, the huge SRS file was generated and made actually in a semi-manually way. So sometimes I wrote it, sometimes ChatGPT, but anyway, I read all this file, and that's why it took for me more than one day. Actually, the whole Saturday and the half of Sunday, I have been written this documentation, this specification. But yeah, it's extremely good. By the way, it's huge just because there are some overlapping between sections and many topics discussed here many times, because sometimes it depends on SEO, search engine optimization, and sometimes it's about user experience, and these topics kind of overlap, but I just tried to do my best in order to get extremely detailed specification for AI agents, because I don't want agents being mistaken here. So yeah, and after that we have ready to use SRS, and it's extremely huge. It was hard to read all this stuff, but after that I already was completely sure that it will work. Why? Because there are so many edge cases, there are all scenarios, all expectations, constraints, etc. So it definitely should work. I was right, actually. But after that, I realized that it might be huge because of context bloating for AI agents, so it's just too many information for them. ChatGPT also said that yes, it's too huge, but it's the right path to start with, and we just need to shorten a little bit, just to make sure that any AI agent can eat it without any problems and without bloating the context. So in this case, we implemented ChatGPT and we implemented something like this. Yeah, this is my workflow for you, visualized workflow for you in Miro. So first of all, I really wrote the whole SRS file. Yeah, it's like a book, about 100 pages. The next step was build specification markdown. So I actually just download, export these huge SRS to markdown, uploaded it to my project root. So here is all the book, but in the markdown format. And then I just requested ChatGPT to shorten it and make the whole SRS in such a brief markdown file with just key, crucial, important features and constraints for agents. So it's kinda a light version of SRS. Okay, so at this step, we need to just shorten the SRS and make the light version of it specifically for AI agents. Okay, this is markdown, and then I asked ChatGPT to write agent for me. It's here in agents markdown file. There are just some instructions how to properly handle these markdown files. As you can see, before implementing or changing any feature, read MVP first, and only then, if you need more details or clarifications, then you can go to SRS markdown, just to not bloat the context window of your agent. And again, there is brief about the project. And as you can see, because I am a professional senior full stack developer and I have more than 13 years of experience, I was able to verify all the code, all the constraints and requirements, and of course I made up a lot. I also added progressive web application requirements, localization to top 20 global languages. Of course, the main feature, before I wrote the SRS, I had already done small research about what exactly we need to use. So, because firstly, I thought that we need to use some for example, whisper and transcribe the text from video and then find these start points of audio. But ChatGPT corrected me and said that we need to use FFmpeg and WebAssembly better. So I have the different ideas how to implement it. But then again, AI corrected me and I hope it will work well. Yes, as you can see, we have passed these 3 steps, agents, and then it's also an important part. I went to my codex and start codex session here. First of all, I requested the codex to implement plan in planning mode. So you can type here plan and you can switch to plan mode. Plan mode and of course extra high reasoning intelligence because at this step you need to hire a really smart agent. Okay, but yes, it takes tokens, but you need to make it only once because it's really important. It's only for planning. So this is my prompt for planning. Read agents and MVP. Build spec first. If you need some clarification, go to the full software requirement specification here, SRS, and it's the full book that I wrote in more than 1 day. Give me a plan to implement the needed MVP project. Don't code now. Just give me the plan that I will use later step by step with follow-up questions from you. So according to given plan, we'll implement the project. And after that, when the plan was ready, I started to implement this plan, but not in plan mode and not with extra high, because at this point we can waste many tokens. And after the plan is ready, actually any agent with even low intelligence, or I prefer medium here, is able to implement the plan because all really intelligent stuff is already ready at this plan. And by the way, a friend of mine, Denise, advises that we need to save this plan. Okay, so he says that we need to store all these intermediate files and start a new dialog. I'm going to take his advice, but not now actually, because I just started implementing all features step by step here. And then when I faced some mistake, some bug in my project, I created a new session and went there. Anyway, it worked, and the rest steps of working of development process is actually almost the same, except that we don't need to code anymore like we did it before in a usual way. Like we just code, fix something, write code, fix something, and then retest it, and this cycle repeats again and again. But now I think we can skip this part of writing code, and instead we should focus, as developers, we should focus more on testing and maintaining the specification. This is exactly the shift that is said, that we need to be more like managers and testers, not like developers anymore in this term. Yeah, we are still developers, we still develop some products, but quality should be much higher. And now we can make many things solo, only by ourselves. As you can see, I has already launched the project, so you can try it here. So if you have some questions, or you want to discuss something, or maybe you have ideas that you want to implement, I will be happy to help you. Subscribe to my channel, subscribe on my Instagram, and of course like this video. I hope I helped you a lot with this spec-driven. Yes, as a sum up, I strongly believe that as developers we are doomed, but developers who, like me, are ready to receive this shifting will be totally okay. Yes, because we don't need to write code anymore, but we have to take the responsibility for the projects. And of course, as you can see before, you have to have these strong technical skills to write these really good SRS, okay, SRS, and to manage, orchestrate all your agents across your workflow. So it's still impossible to make it without a developer. Maybe you can make it, but it would be hard to maintain actually and deploy later. But anyway, it's a good shifting in my opinion, and I am ready to be kinda a AI driven, AI native developer. So, and of course, because I have these bunch of skills of full stack web development, I'm not afraid and I am ready to work extremely faster. So thank you for your attention, and stay tuned because I will launch many different videos about AI business technologies, and of course I will implement different projects. So bye bye.